All right, welcome back. New season of iRacing. No changes to the Ray Snetterton 300. It's gonna be a lot of fun. The season hasn't officially started, so I've tried to put the settings for the conditions as close as I can, but take it with a grain of salt. Um, they won't be probably perfect. So we'll get into the setup here. Ride height 27 mils, nice and low, not a lot of bumps on this track. So nice and low. Damper compression 21. Um, there is a lot of subtle downhill braking. It's not real big hills or anything, but there is some slightly downhill braking. So I find having that damper compression up just a little bit keeps that front end from dipping too low and loading up the front too much. Brake bias 57% for you. It's something different, but probably a little bit on the lower side of what you normally have it. Spring rates low as they go, front and rear. Camber 1.7 on the left. There are a lot of corners here, a lot of tight corners, but the track is not really cambered, so the cambers are not cranked up too high. 1.4 on the right, you know my channel, it's asymmetrical. Go with the higher values if you want to keep those symmetrical. Toe in 1.5. There is a lot of straightaways here, so 1.5 is helping getting some temp into the tire, and there's a lot of heavy braking here, so that's also helping with the braking. Spring rates in the rear, low as they go, 35 mils. Uh, Camber 1.4 on the left and on the right. A lot of tight corners here. Again, not really cambered corners, so the camber is turned up just to get some more grip in there, and toe in 0.2 again just to help with those tire temps. Ride height in the rear 36 mils. Yep, just to keep the rake in a positive angle. ARB is 20. Lots of tight corners here. You do need to rotate the car. If you find you are losing the back end too easy, you might want to drop that down to 15 while you're learning the track, but definitely you do need to rotate the car around here. Damper compression down one notch, 5. There are a few corners where when you get onto the throttle, you can spin up the rears. So it's just a little softer just to get that weight transfer to the rear. 18 rebound, 14 liters. That's going to get you around for the race for sure. I didn't have a chance to try 13 to see if that will get you to the end or not. And gear stack. Now, in previous track guides, I've had this at standard, and standard works very well. But standard does reach the rev limit in the couple of straights, and it reaches that rev limit a little bit before the breaking point. So I do have it at tall. The track is on a cooler condition than in the past, and I really found that the tall, not a whole lot of time, but it is about, I got about 2/10 faster with the tall over the standard, and that's without drafting. And drafting on this track, if you haven't raced on it, is going to be a thing. So tall gear stack. All right, let's get into the guide track again. Tried to match it up as close as to the description in iRacing. So it's 22 degrees is the track temperature. Air temperature is 19. Uh, Moderate usage 35% as usual. So we'll get into this in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. Coming into turn one, fourth gear, you can see I'm not at the rev limit with the tall stack, but if I'm drafting, there's gonna be you're gonna be at the rev limit. Just before the one board, shifting down into third, bit of brakes. Important to brake here on entry so you get a fast exit. And then getting onto the curb, getting way onto those curbs and picking up the throttle nice and early. Watch out for this one here. If you get onto this and you're too far right, this is pretty disruptive. So stay on the curb, but don't get too greedy. And then just picking up the throttle nice and early, working your way up into fourth. You can use all of that track on exit. And then what you're looking for is the red marker on the right and the Wilson sign, and braking in between the two. Hard on the brakes. This is very hard on the brakes. Shifting down into first, and very important to be releasing the brakes as you turn in. Um, as you see, this section here is not, it's anti-camber, and then it's cambered up here. So watch out for that. If you are coming in here really tight and you are on the brakes, you're going to spin out. And watch out for that for the people in front of you. That this is a very crashy corner. And then picking up the throttle gingerly. Do not stomp on the throttle. Very easy to spin up the wheels, so watch out for that. Use all of the track on exit, and then just working your way up through the gears. So in my view, depends on your view, I'm looking for the Marshall board here when I'm alongside it. Little bit of brake in third gear, second gear maybe when the tires are cold, and then getting onto the curb. These curbs are serrated, so if you go over the curb here, it is going to hook your tire and you are going to have a bad day. So watch out for that. Stay on the curb, not over it. And picking up the throttle nice and early. This is a little stretch of straight here, so it's very important to get that throttle on early. Use all of the grasscrete there on exit. Just do not go off the grasscrete. So looking for the one board between, closer to the one board, but about halfway, about 3/4 of the way to the one board, getting on the brakes, very hard. This is a very hard braking corner. Down into first, releasing the brakes as you turn in. Again, very easy to spin out here if you are on the brake, because as you come around the corner, this is now a little bit off camber. So very easy to spin it out here. And then gingerly applying the throttle. Again, don't stomp on it. You can spin those tires up, and then just use all of the track on exit. Looking for the Hamilton board. Just before the Hamilton board, just a little bit of a lift and cut this corner. You can smack these poles. They're not going to damage your car. And then picking up the throttle nice and early. You can lose a surprising amount of time through here, so watch out. You can use all of that grasscrete on exit, but you do have to get way over to the left here. And then looking for the right-hand turn sign just before it. Do not outbrake yourself for this corner. It is easy to do, and it is very costly if you do. Hard on the brakes, down into second, and then again, I didn't quite cut this as much as you can. This is a bit of a serrated curb here, but it's been beaten down, so it really doesn't grab your tire too badly, but you can take a little bit more of this than I did. Just make sure you do not get too greedy. There is a slowdown in there if you cut that corner too much. And then just open up the wheel and run the car out wide, picking up the throttle nice and early, and looking for that Williams board, leaving it in second gear. There is a little bit of a lift at the Williams board turning in here. Get onto this grass and have your car pointed at this white, whatever this is. If you are pointed at this, you are going to be gold. If you are pointed out this way, you are going to run wide. So watch out. Catch that white part, shifting up into third nice and early. And then using all the grasscrete. Again, watch this grasscrete. There are sections of wide sections and narrow sections. If you're on the grasscrete, you are good. If you are not on the grasscrete, it is an X. And if you get onto that dirt, it is going to scrub a lot of speed through this big straight. And this is going to be a big passing opportunity. Surprisingly, this is where a lot of passing is going to happen, so watch out. This is a very dangerous section, but there's going to be a lot of passing attempts here. So just before the one board, getting on the brakes, down into third gear. Do not come in here too hot. Oh, it is trouble if you come in here too hot. Get onto the curbs, and there is grasscrete right here, and that's really the important part. So shifting down into second, once you have the car slowed, make sure you don't have a lot of wheel input when you shift down. It can spin up the tires if you have the wheel turned and you downshift. Getting onto that grasscrete, very important to open this up. And again, just some more brake here. I came in a little hot. I should have been on the throttle probably about now, but I came in a little hot, cost me a little time. A little late on the throttle pickup, but use all of that grasscrete on exit. And looking for the bomb hole sign, just before the bomb hole sign, in third gear, turning in, just a baby lift in there, and then get into that curb, into the crotch of that bomb hole, and then run the car out to the curb, and just a little in third gear, but turning in nice and gentle, and then just a little bit of a lift. You do not want to be running wide here. Again, this is off camber. If you're got the throttle pinned, you're going to be sliding wide, and if you're sliding wide, you are not going fast. And then just keeping it real tight up against the curbs here, just managing the throttle, trying to keep that tight line. And then once you get to the third pole here, shifting down into second, and then at the second, just before the second pole here, getting on the brakes. Very, very important. This corner comes out here, and if you get a tire on the grass, you do not get an X, but you are going to lock your tires up, and you are going to have a terrible, terrible exit. So watch out. Do not get onto that grass. Down into second gear, very late apex, picking up the throttle nice and early. Unwind the wheel, use all of that grasscrete, and there you go. Now it is a run to the line. The finish line is a fair distance away, so you can make up a place in the draft here, especially if the person didn't really nail that last corner and you did. So don't give up. And that's a 157.5. I think that should be pretty competitive. Assuming track conditions aren't vastly different than what was posted. All right, so I'll run this out at full speed. Good luck. Hopefully you have a good season. We'll see you next time.